Well, greetings. So I want to share an idea with you. Let's call it a thought experiment. I'll share the idea and then I'd like to kind of tease out some of the implications. The idea is that whatever's going on in your life at the moment, whatever your circumstances are, that you chose them. It's just an idea. I want to follow it through, and I want to explore the implications of choosing to work with that as a kind of as a story or a premise. Because I'm realizing that things start to shift the more I step into that story. So whatever your circumstances are, you chose them, and there's some obvious objections to this that I can imagine popping up for anyone you present this idea with. Whatever's going on for you right now, you chose it and you are choosing it right now. For example, what are you talking about? Like, how could I have known that the person I married was going to turn out to be an asshole? How could I have possibly known that my kids were going to be brats and be tormenting me with their 9-year-old antics? How could I have known that my boss, and so on? You get the point. How could I have possibly known that these things would be so awful or so hard for me? How could I have known that the weather was going to be so hot and dry and make it so hard to farm successfully, whatever the case may be? And something interesting happens when you step into this space, which is a radical space. I know this. It is a radical space. It's a radical space for me. It's a radical space for the people I work with and people I'm surrounded by. When you take it all the way. When you take it all the way to 100% of what I've got in my life right now, I chose. It can be a scary proposition at first. For some of us, perhaps indefinitely. Why? Well, it's probably obvious. Because if I chose my circumstances, if I chose this life, this partner, these kids, this residence, house, this job, this day, this hour, this minute, then I have to give something up. I have to give up the opposite story, which is that I didn't choose these things, that these things have been imposed on me, that I'm the victim of circumstance, and that it's not fair. It's not fair that I have to go through all this. Why me? Why is life so hard? And so on. And you can see how the opposite story, which I believe is more standard operating procedure in modern culture, how that seeds a whole lot of stuff and a whole lot of time spent in a space of blaming or judging or making circumstances or people wrong because they are negatively impacting your life, your quality of life. However, even though this fear is fair enough, the fear of acknowledging that you're the cause, you're the chooser that created your circumstances. And I'm conscious there's a risk there too, right? Because hang on a second, if I take on the story or the belief that I caused all of this, my life is shit right now, And if I were to accept fully, 100%, that I created this shit, that I chose this shit, that I made this shit happen, that I am fully 100% responsible for having created this shit life. I can totally appreciate the fear there, which is, well, then I must be a fucking idiot, you know? I'm a fucking loser. What a stupid idiot. How could I possibly have done this to myself and chosen this shit life for years after years and chosen this shit relationship after, and so on, so on. You can see the pattern there. But you can probably also appreciate what's happening, which is a similar kind of spiral is being set off. Now there's another alternative. And it's a powerful alternative. It's not better or worse. It's different, and it generates profoundly different results in your life when you start to live into the possibility of choosing to operate from a story that I chose this, that I am choosing this, that I'm creating this. And if you don't go down the therefore I am an idiot, I'm fucked, I'm a loser, I'll never choose anything else path, there's another path. And this other path is the path of saying, I chose this, and guess what? If I chose it, I can choose differently. And when you go down that path, you become powerful. What you're doing is taking your power back, and you are opening up the possibility, and hence, if something's now possible, you're able to make it actual, possibility of choosing something different. And I've been experimenting with this. I thought I got this. I got it intellectually, but I'm getting it more and more in the day-to-day experience. Simple example, yesterday, I was on my way home and my wife texted, we're staying at some friend's place, and the friend had said, oh, would you mind asking Dan if you could pick up this piece of wood from the hardware store on the way home? I got the text, I was like, oh, fine, it'd be great. I'm going right past. Save them a trip. I get there and the piece of wood is really big. Like it's kind of almost bigger than the car. And there was an opportunity right there, which I noticed, which was like, Jesus, you know, why didn't they tell me this? Why did they put me in this situation? How am I going to fit this in? Am I going to buy some straps and try and tighten it, and so on? As opposed to, I was invited to do something. I chose to accept the invitation. Here I am, and there's a big piece of wood that looks like it's going to be a struggle to get in the car. I get to choose what happens now. I'm no one's victim. I can choose to say, I'll pass. Or I can choose to say, I'll give it a go, which I chose to do. I managed to squeeze it into the car. It stuck right up above our heads, and we start driving home. I'm sort of having my head's like this, my neck's starting to hurt. And I noticed the old story knocking at the door, which was, fucking hell, why the fuck didn't they tell me this wood was so big? Like, this is not reasonable, this is not fair. This is a real pain in the ass. I don't like, and when oh, hang on a second. And I practiced it, and I said, I'm choosing this. I'm creating this circumstance. I choose this. I'm fully responsible for being in this circumstance right now, of driving this car with my head down to the side. And the funniest thing happened, which was, once the drama of why, blaming, complaining, etc., once all that dissipated and evaporated, I was just there with the reality. I'm in the car, in a situation I chose with this piece of wood, and I could just suddenly see the situation more clearly, and I was able to realize that, hang on, if I push the wood this way and shuffle it that way, oh wow, I can almost put my hood up right. And it's not only that I'm choosing this to be in this car with this piece of wood, I get to choose the story about it. So I was like, wow, I'm going to write some new stories here. So, I am so grateful to be bringing this piece of wood at these people's request, because they're letting us stay with them. They're just such amazing, generous hosts. I am so grateful to be able to do something for them. Isn't this great? I am loving this. So I had the best time driving this piece of wood home. A simple little example, and I'll wrap this up here. But as you can tell, this stuff's a big deal for me, and for me it's a core part of what I mean, or becoming more of a core part of what I mean by holistic decision making. It's this kind of taking back the power to choose, and realizing until we do that, we don't have the power to choose. Like we're unconsciously disempowering ourselves, and until we acknowledge that we are creating our circumstances right now, we don't really have access to the ability to make a different decision, to choose differently, and realize how quick things can shift and how many possibilities there are once we go looking for them, as opposed to, oh, well, I'll just keep doing the same job and living the same life for another day, another week, another year, and so on, because I don't really have any other options. Yes, so consider letting go on that. Do some experiments. You can always go back to the old story. You can always go back to victimhood. You can always go back to denying or rejecting responsibility. That will always be an option. You can always choose that. But I'm really excited to be experimenting with choosing responsibility in my life, and how that's going to inform the way I work with others. Okay, over and out. Catch you later. Have a great day. And guess what? You chose it.